put this all into his book. It was a 280-page book, 1911. The Answer to Cancer is in that book. When I was a medical student and read that, it blew my mind. Now, why was I attracted to it? No one else was. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumber than most, so I'm not attracted by, Sloan Kettering, that fancy stuff. I care less. I just care what the truth is. Most humans could care less about the truth. They're just not interested. It doesn't mean anything to them. There's no emotional tie to it. It's not as attractive often. It's too weird, too strange. Doesn't fit the convention. Most people are more interested in what's conventional rather than what's true. The convention is comfortable. It's about being comfortable. Truth is often outside our design limits. It's often not outside our conventional beliefs, and therefore it makes us uncomfortable. So people would rather believe something that's not true because it's comfortable and familiar than believe a truth that's different from what we expect or what we're used to. I think that's really what it is. I mean, it's in Beard's book. It's right there. And I took one look at it and said, this guy was brilliant. This sounds like he's got an answer to cancer. Started looking into, Kelly, who had revived Beard's work during the 60s and 70s, started looking through his work and found that with enzymes, 60 years later, he was this guy that was reversing cancer just as Beard said one could. And then when Kelly kind of went off the deep end in 1987, we started treating patients, Dr. Isaacson and I, and we saw tumors disappear. Not everybody gets well, of course. We see a lot of really advanced patients. But I've never seen anything that works as well as the enzymes. If I did, I quit doing what I do in 2 minutes and go do that. But I've never seen anything that works as well. It's so obvious that it works.
And yet it's not just for pancreatic cancer. It's for many types of cancer.
Yeah, it works for any kind of cancer, from leukemia to brain cancer to toenail cancer. It's an equal opportunity tumor destroyer. For some reason, again, I don't know why, other than the perversity of the human mind, there's this misconception that it only works for pancreatic cancer. I don't know why, just because we use pancreatic enzymes. They kill any kind of cancer cell, as Beard said 100 years ago, as Kelly showed 40 years ago, and as we see in our own office. They'll kill any kind of cancer cell. And all cancer cells really are similar. There's this, again, misconception in the oncology world as well as in the lay world that there are all these hundred different kinds of cancer. Well, Beard said they're really basically all the same, and that they all have the opposite charge of the enzymes and the opposite charge of normal cells, and those enzymes will go in and chew them up, whether it's leukemia, brain cancer, or toenail cancer. So they'll kill any cancer.
So it's not limited to the pancreas. That's the point.
Yeah, we treat any kind of cancer and have treated any kind of cancer. And some of our greatest successes, we're doing a book of 100 cases right now because we realize we can't depend on the conventional medical world to embrace us and love us. So we're just putting together our own cases and challenge anyone to match it. We have a whole series, like 20 cases that will be breast cancer, and metastatic breast cancer patients have been with us 24 years. I had a patient last week. It was this week. It was Monday. It's already Friday. It was this past Monday. She was one of my first patients, started with me December 6, 1987. She had developed metastatic breast cancer into the bone while receiving aggressive chemo. She had inflammatory breast cancer initially with 18 positive lymph nodes out of 18, a huge tumor. Had to radiate the tumor just to shrink it so they could operate on it. Then said, you got the worst kind of cancer, and this is going to really be aggressive. We're going to put you on chemo until you die. Started giving her chemo in 1985. 1987, after 2 years of constant chemo, she developed metastases despite the chemo into her bones. And they said, that's it, you're going to die. Started with us, and that's before I was well-known and had written books and all that stuff. She came, believed in what we did the program, and she was in Monday. Looks great. Well, years ago, her tumors were all gone. She's 24. In December, it'll be 24 years out. And she's a breast cancer patient with inflammatory breast cancer into the bone. So we do treat all kinds of cancers, and some of our really rewarding successes have been non-pancreatic cancer, though we're known for pancreatic cancer.
I interviewed someone yesterday, Dr. Thomas, who wrote about the secrets of the lymphatic system, who had cancer of the lymphatic system. 28 years ago, she went in, they put her on aggressive chemo and radiation. She was so violently sick, and they told her that in 3 weeks she was going to die. 28 years later, and she's well. And she has her own story about how she's well. Then I have another friend who I told you about back in June that has a tumor behind her nose, went for intense radiation and chemo for a month and a half. They almost killed her doing it. She was going in for hyperbaric oxygen treatments. I got her set up with about 30 here. She went in for 5. She was starting to feel better. She goes back. She tells the oncologist at the county that she's having oxygen treatments, which have helped a lot of people who are getting chemo because you get so sick from the chemo and radiation. And he says to her, cancer really grows in oxygen, so we don't really know what you have. And she stopped the treatments. And he said to her, I really want to go in and operate, and I'm scared if we don't operate, you're going to die. So I have this conversation with her, and I said, why do you believe this? Why are you allowing them to give you a death sentence? They don't cure cancer. How are you allowing this person to tell you when you're going to die? And if they don't get to cut, you're going to die. This drives me crazy because this is home now. This is to friends. It's so upsetting to me.
Well, the conventional medicine people, again, people have a fanatic religious belief in them. Whether it's rational or not, it isn't rational, and whether it's objective or not, it's not objective. They believe in it. And these are the authorities, and they possess an enormous amount of authority, and people hold conventional physicians in awe. And that's one of the problems with alternatives. People do not hold alternative physicians in awe, so they readily dismiss it because they think, well, if it's any good, it'd be at Sloan Kettering, Stanford, et cetera.
Yeah, and she said to me, I don't have a choice. I don't have choices. I said, yes, you do. You need to go to people who have been treating people who are living years after they've been given the death sentence. You need to seek those people out.
Well, see, in her case, though, the only thing I would disagree with you here, she probably is more comfortable under the care of a conventional physician. We have people that call our office, and we can tell right away that they're being pushed there by friends or family members, and they really don't believe in alternatives. And there are people who would be happier dying at Sloan Kettering than getting well with us. It's just emotionally, it's too difficult for them. It's outside, again, going back to the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Conventional medicine, we're all brought up thinking that these are these brilliant scientists working late at night, sacrificing their personal life for the benefit of science, humanity. I mean, in fact, it's all mythology, and that's not really the case. It doesn't matter. But that's what people believe, and they invest an enormous amount of faith in these people that's undeserved. So, but patients like that often would feel more comfortable not doing well in the hands of a powerful authoritarian scientist from a major institution than going to see some alternative.
I think you're right about that. I couldn't believe she says to me, I don't have a choice.
In her mind, she doesn't, and I would just love her, pray for her, and just let her go and let her do what she wants.
I mean, I am. I just think about it, and I think of the gravitational hold that the medical orthodoxy has in traditional medicine. It's profound, and so many people die. Why did Farrah Fawcett die?
She, I never knew her or spoke to her. She was a good friend of Suzanne Summers, who's a friend of mine, who wrote the book on Cancer
Right.
Knockout. And Suzanne was going nuts because Farrah went from one eminent conventional physician to the next. She went to Germany, but even there it was conventional, it was radiation, chemo, that kind of thing. And she just couldn't let go of it. I mean, Michael Landon's another great case. He was so awed by these white-coated demigods from Cedars-Sinai that he was going to come see me. That's what he wanted to do, and he was never was unhappy with his choice, even as he lay dying. He went to the best of the best, and he was happy that he did that. He knew he did the best he could do. For him, it was the best. He would never have been comfortable on my treatment doing something that the Orthodox people condemn and don't condone. He would never have been happy with that. He needed to be in the hands of Orthodoxy, and a lot of people do. Again, it's familiar, it's secure, it's what we trust, even if it doesn't work. And people just are not able to go beyond and think rationally that this is not going to work. Michael Landon is worth $380 million. He couldn't say to himself, he couldn't hire a research assistant and say, this isn't going to work. No one's ever been cured with stage 4 pancreatic cancer with chemo. It's not going to work for you. You're going to die probably quickly, and he did die quickly. It's not a rational decision. It's a question of comfort. He was more comfortable there not doing well than coming to see me and possibly getting well.
I just did an interview with Bruce Lipton on the biology of belief. And it is stunning how the power of belief impacts our ability to see and to receive new knowledge. I really think what you said is very astute on a number of levels. My friend believes in this doctor and in this treatment at the highest level. Even if she's going to die, she's going to put herself under the direction of these authorities.
Even if it doesn't work, she'll be happier there than getting well under the care of somebody who's alternative and not accepted, and the family will criticize her for her choice, and her friends will criticize her, and they'll say, why aren't you? We get that all the time with our patients. I tell my patients, once they decide to become my patient, to get rid of anybody who's negative. Not that I'm a cult leader and you have to...
I understand.
It's for their benefit, because having that kind of negative input, or you should be at Sloan Kettering, it's just irrational, and it doesn't help, and it creates anxiety and fear and all of that. the fact is, for these patients, for the most patients I see, Sloan Kettering can help them. Many of them come out of Sloan Kettering having failed. So, but it doesn't matter, even